Hey everyone, welcome back to, we've changed the name of this. I don't know if you've noticed this, but this is the Sober Witch Life, Sunshine's magical guide, uh, her guide to a magical recovery. So welcome back, my dear friends. I don't even know clue what episode we're on, but I'm pretty excited about today's topic, and I'm excited about this shift and change. Uh, Not gonna lie, the last couple of months have been a little bit tough energetically, and I may have shared this with you. I may have already talked about this. I may have already discussed this. Um, and I've got some big moves. I stepped out of corporate and I'm focused on my business, which is, boy, is that changing some things. I mean, it's really having me take a look at things a lot differently. And so today we're going to be talking about the choice of sobriety in witchcraft. Right. And I'm going to tell you why. I sat here this morning trying to think about what I may want to talk about or what I may want to discuss. And I have a whole list of things, but that I can pick and choose from. But I wait to kind of see what sticks out, what kind of provides a somatic response. And today it was the choice. It was the choice, like making that choice to step into a sober life. Right. And the reason why is why it came up, and I think why it kind of rattled me a little bit when I thought about what I might want to talk about, is because I have a long-term client that I've worked with for almost 2 years now. We've been together for about 2 years. And when I say long-term client, we're talking weekly sessions, regular sessions. This is an individual that stepped into their spiritual path with me, that they started to step into their awakening, to explore and discover who they were, what they wanted to be, where they wanted to go. And I've adored working with and supporting this individual for a very long time. And I had to share some news with them. We are getting ready to kind of reevaluate. We reevaluate our contractual kind of relationship every 6 months or so. And it was time. And my guides came forward and told me that moving forward, uh, I was to be focusing and narrowing my the folks that I supported to folks that were in recovery, that were sober. And so I had to share this. I had to share the fact that I'll be exclusively supporting witches in recovery moving forward. And I asked them, they had mentioned to me in the past that they didn't really feel as though alcohol was going to play a role in their long-term kind of spiritual journey. And so I asked them if they were ready to take a look at their long-term relationship with alcohol. And it brought up a lot of emotions, and there was some defensiveness. I mean, just like, yeah, it brought up a lot of emotions. It brought up a lot of defensiveness. It brought up a lot of challenging, and this particular individual, as I was trying to understand and be curious about why they were responding the way that they were, um, they kept making reference to, you're not going to persuade me. You're not going to persuade me. And, uh, you know, I don't step into situations that, remove my free will from me. Like all of these very kind of intensive responses to this. Um, when at the end of the day, as we talked about it and kind of conversed about it, and they really dug their heels into their stance, what it boiled down to is, even though they had admitted to me literally almost weeks before that they knew they would have to visit their relationship with alcohol at some point, they weren't ready. They just weren't ready. I mean, the conversations, the way that they were talking, I was very familiar with. I was very, very familiar with this. Um, so today we're going to talk about making that choice, because it's not always easy. Even if we may be an individual that only drinks on occasion, if we have a unhealthy relationship with alcohol, it is going to be hard for us to let go of it. It is going to be hard for us to step into and make the choice to just not drink, right? That's all the choice um, is to just not pick up and drink alcohol. And it's not easy. It took me almost 2 years before I decided to try, in a more formal way, to like really address my relationship with alcohol. I watched my father on his deathbed because of alcohol, right? He drank himself to the point that his heart was no longer working and his body was shutting down. His kidney and his livers were, no longer functioning. He made some pretty drastic choices, and he is still here with us today. But I also watched, right, and right following off of my father, I watched a cousin of mine in the hospital, literally dying of alcoholism, and then died. I never went and visited. I don't even know if I would have been able to handle that. I really don't. Um, so I had all of these things and all of these situations, and there was this like mental kind of like anguish that I was going through. Like, and I refer to it as a lot of mental torture. Like, why aren't things going the way that they are? Why, like a lot of these questioning, a lot of this angst, a lot of this kind of like low vibrational kind of anger in some regards, but it really felt like an injustice is what it felt like. Like, why is all of this kind of like out to get me, so to speak? And I say that very, uh, that is a bit of an exaggeration, but this is the mental torture that was going on, right? And I spent a lot of time talking about and trying to rationalize and finding a way to moderate, right? Doing things such as like, oh, I just won't drink here, or I'll just have one, or I won't drink hard liquor, I'll just drink wine, I'll just drink beer. All of these various different things, or like, it's not the time, I'm not ready, like all of these things, all of this like rationalization, not quite yet, maybe later. I've got these other things to work on. These things are more important. This is actually more of the problem than this, right? Like all of these things. And yeah, 2 years in that, 2 years of this like self torture kind of sitting in this ooey gooey, sticky substance of, that was an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. And sometimes we don't realize it, even though we may know that at some point we should, it's not good for us or anything of that nature, doesn't bring us any value into our lives. We will still kind of like keep the door open, because it has been a very successful escape pattern in the past. We'll keep the door open just in case. So why am I sharing this with you? Right? Because this is how we do this. I talk about, and then I tell you why. Why is this important for you? Why might you care? Why do I think you might care? And it's simply put, you may be one of those witches that is currently in the point that you're contemplating it. You may be at the very beginning stages, like I was when I was watching my father, right? Like, oh my God, what am I doing? Why am I drinking? Should I be drinking? Like all of this stuff. Am I going to leave? You may be in those beginning stages, right? And you may be contemplating whether or not you have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol, right? And I'll tell you, there's a couple of things. Maybe you've gotten drunk. Maybe you literally have gotten drunk. Maybe it's gotten to the point that it's like beyond what you felt comfortable with, right? Maybe you've even made poor decisions while drinking. Maybe it's, doing something that you wouldn't have normally done, talking to or doing something with someone that you maybe wouldn't have, saying something, expressing something, right? Any of these kinds of things. And there are people that think alcohol just shows us our truth, like behind the scenes, but I don't think that is the case. Right? I don't think that's the case. I don't believe that fact. I think alcohol actually allows a energetic opening for a more lower vibrational energy to come forward, right? And it's not always going to be you, especially for those of us witches that have very strong psychic abilities. It could be somebody else's. It could be a literal other entity that is able to now come through you during those times that you're drinking, right? And now you're literally making decisions that you would not have made if you were in the right mind, right? You may be tired of the hangovers, right? You may be noticing and experiencing that your body is not responding to the alcohol in the way that it once did after. Alcohol is a literal poison. The reason we get drunk is because our body has a hard time breaking down the alcohol, and the after effect of that breaking down of it leads to the actual like poisoning within our bloodstream, which leads to the drunken feeling, right? So you may be tired of how your body is feeling afterwards. It may not be recuperating as quickly, right? You may be realizing, and this was a really interesting thing as I was in therapy. This, kind of like reevaluating that relationship with alcohol. One of the things that I had learned was that alcohol, like the after effects, actually opens the door for anxiety in a way that it wouldn't be if that wasn't the case. Like my anxiety since I have stopped drinking, almost gone. Almost gone. Like I still have some of my mental patterns, but like that energetic of anxiety, pretty much gone. Right. And last but not least, you may be realizing that something is missing from your magic. Maybe things just don't seem to be working. Maybe you always seem to be going like, oh my God, what if something else? Right. And that is a reason, right? So this is why I'm telling you, you may be in that point, and I want you to know that you're not alone. It's not an easy decision to decide to stop drinking. Even if you only drink 2, 3, or 4, or 5 times a year, maybe you only raise a glass of champagne at a wedding, right? But you may still shudder a bit to think about never picking up a drink of alcohol again. And if that is the case, my dear, then you have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. Right? Folks that have a healthy relationship with alcohol don't think about it, don't plan for it, don't go, further into the future and say things like, "Oh my God, what if I was at a wedding and it was like, the most beautiful experience in my entire life? Or what if I had this incredible thing that happened to me and somebody wanted to toast a glass of champagne?" People with a healthy relationship with alcohol don't do that. They don't even contemplate it or consider it or think about it. They don't go into the future and think about what it would be like to drink. No, right? So I say that for you, those of you that don't drink very often, you may, even though you aren't consuming that alcohol on a regular basis, you may be experiencing some of the symptoms of what the recovery world refers to as a dry drunk. Somebody that is abstaining from alcohol or does not have it within their life in a way like for me, I used to drink almost every day, right? Uh, but you may be experiencing those same things. And so over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to bring to you how that kind of like dry drunk behavior may show up for us witches, right? How it may show up in our normal life and how it may show up even in our magical life. So I hope that you stick around. I'm excited for this shift and this change. It's a little controversial. Some people may not be a big fan of it, but let's be real, my dear friends. The choices that we make in life directly impacts the magic and the impact that we can have in this world. And so if alcohol is prohibiting you from living your best fucking life, let's figure that out together. How about that? All right, my dear friends, until the next time, much love from me to you.